Human growth hormone affects people at different rates and at different times in their lives. Some people go to the extent of taking artificial human growth hormone, which can have some very negative side effects. This lesson is on the effects of human growth hormone. So, human growth hormone is greatest in quantity in our bodies during childhood and adolescence because that's when humans typically grow. And growth hormone promotes the growth of bone and muscles. Pituitary dwarfism results from too little growth hormone during childhood, and gigantism or giants result from too much growth hormone during childhood. And if growth hormone is overproduced in an adult, it can produce a condition called acromegaly, where bone growth is no longer possible, but our soft tissues, like our feet, hands, chin, nose, will continue to grow. So sometimes people will have just extra large amounts of growth hormone, but not an abnormal amount to make them what we would consider a giant. And they might be extra tall, such as like basketball players, volleyball players. Um, and in the picture on the right hand side, we definitely see something with pituitary gigantism and pituitary dwarfism. And often back in the day, lots of these people would end up being picked up by like a circus or a sideshow. And that's how they would make their living. Here we see an image of acromegaly, and we can see that the hands are abnormally large, as well as the chin, the nose, and the eyebrows, and the ears. But the rest of the body doesn't continue to grow because bone growth typically doesn't happen in adults. So the thyroid gland is located in the neck, and it attaches to the trachea just below the larynx. And there's also four parathyroid glands embedded within the surface of the thyroid gland. And the thyroid gland requires iodine to produce thyroxine. And thyroid hormones increase our metabolic rate. So the higher amount or the better functioning our thyroid gland is, often we can have a very healthy metabolic rate, which stimulates our body cells to metabolize and use energy at a faster rate. So to check your metabolism, you can get your levels of thyroxine tested. And in our thyroid gland, if your diet is lacking in iodine, we can get a simple goiter. So a goiter will be an enlargement of the thyroid. Um, because it's trying to produce more thyroxine and it's having a hard time. So it says, well, I don't know, we should just get bigger. So you develop a goiter. But most salt in North America is iodized. So if iodine has been added to it, so people typically get enough iodine in their diet. Hypothyroidism in children produces cretinism, and in adults, it causes myxedema. If the thyroid is overactive, you might have something called Graves' disease, and exophthalmic goiter might develop. So if you have too much thyroxine present, you have hyperthyroidism. So your thyroid is very active. You might be very jittery. You might sweat, have a fast heart rate, feel hot. You might end up with hair loss. You might end up with some weight loss. But this will be treated by removing a portion of the thyroid gland, either surgically or chemically, so less thyroxine is produced. If too little thyroxine is present, you have hypothyroidism. So you're cold, you're tired. You also might have hair loss. You might have weight gain. And in children, this can lead to abnormal mental and physical development and a slowdown in their growth. So if there's too little iodine in the diet, you might have a thyroid goiter. This is if your thyroid is swollen. And it's due to the continued stimulation by thyroid stimulating hormone, but not enough thyroxine is made. So the thyroid increases in size, attempting to make more thyroxine. And this is an image of a goiter. So we can see in the neck, the thyroid is swollen. So here is a picture of an individual who had cretinism. And so this is somebody who's had hypothyroidism since infancy. They don't grow and develop as normal, and they typically have short, stocky bodies and have some developmental delays mentally. So on the thyroid, we also have control of our calcium levels in our blood. So the thyroid gland also produces calcitonin, which can help lower the blood calcium level when it's too high. So we want our blood calcium level to be optimal to help with clotting, but to not cause excessive clots or excessive muscle contractions. So the primary effect of calcitonin brings apart the deposit of calcium into the bones. So a little rhyme I like to have is calcitonin, calcibonin. So the calcium goes into your bones when calcitonin levels are high. Now, when the blood level of calcium is returned to normal, the release of calcitonin is inhibited. So on our thyroid glands, we also had our parathyroid glands embedded inside it. And the parathyroid gland release parathyroid hormone, which will raise the blood calcium level. So these are those antagonistic hormones. We have calcitonin, which works to decrease blood calcium, and parathyroid hormone, which works to increase blood calcium. So this stimulates the activity of the osteoclasts, which release calcium from the bone and stimulate reabsorption by the kidney and intestine of calcium. So we want to have, again, enough calcium in our blood to stimulate muscle, to allow for muscle contractions to occur, as well as to stimulate the clotting process. So insufficient parathyroid hormone will cause serious loss of blood calcium and cause something known as tetany. So here we have a negative feedback loop describing our antagonistic hormone response of calcitonin and parathyroid hormone. So calcitonin will increase the calcium deposition into bones, decrease calcium absorption in the small intestine and the kidney, which will decrease our blood calcium. Once our blood calcium levels are low, the production of calcitonin stops. Now, if calcium levels in our blood are too low, we have the release of parathyroid hormone, which will increase the release of calcium from our bones, as well as increase the calcium uptake from our intestines and from our kidneys. So the only other thing I wanted to mention was about the use of artificial human growth hormone. Now, this can cause some muscle growth as adults, but can also cause some negative effects metabolically because now our body is not used to getting human growth hormone as an adult, and it can cause some of those other side effects. And it also is an illegal drug to take if you are participating in any weightlifting or bodybuilding type activities. So just something that you should definitely stay away from for the sake of your homeostasis. Well, that is our lesson today on human growth hormone and the role of the thyroid gland. Catch you guys next time. Bye.